Welcome to FinStreet. We have with us Mr. Digant Haria, who is the co-founder of GreenEdge Wealth. He's been tracking NBFC and HFC sector for a long time. Digant, welcome to the show. Let's begin by, assessing the housing finance sector. How has been the performance? Because loan growth has been tepid for the sector overall, given the fact that LIC, HUDCO, etc. have seen weak growth. Some of them have started focusing on lower ticket size in terms of, performance, given the fact that they are high yielding products. How do you see the outlook for the sector ahead?
Uh, yeah, Abhishek, I think, the banks are upping their game and, banks are constantly eating into the market share of, the housing finance companies. We saw that PNB Housing also cut its home loan guidance. So I think the large HFCs are going to struggle and, which is why you see that they are going to the smaller ticket size. So I think that overall, I'm not very, very excited. I would say more neutralish kind of view on the housing finance companies because growth is not easy to come. Asset quality is obviously not under pressure, but the higher borrowing cost will also ensure that your profitability is not too high. So all in all, I would say it's a tepid kind of response which I feel. It's only one turnaround story which I find interesting, which is Repco Home Finance, like it is coming out of a 5-year consolidation. Otherwise, I think the sector will more or less be neutralish kind of view from my point.
Well, Digant, with respect to gold finances, they have been under pressure on account of the competition from banks. However, Q4 is generally strong for them. With Manappuram shying away from the gold financing segment, Muthoot has been under pressure with respect to, the loan growth. How do you see some of the gold financiers performing going ahead?
So you're right, Abhishek. Competition was very intense for the last 2 years. But now I'm hearing that, the competition is probably peaking out or, so to say, stabilizing. So I'm actually seeing that the next 3 months as well as next 12 months can be quite good for gold financiers, especially Muthoot Finance, because they have kept their focus on gold loans. The gold price can also rally very strongly. And, which is why I think that Muthoot Finance, the price is good. They can grow after a long time. They can grow at 15% plus. Manappuram is not able to grow its loan book. It is focusing on other areas, the unsecured lending. That does not give us a lot of comfort. So on Manappuram, we will be cautious because the gold loan book is not growing. They're not investing much in the gold loan business. But I think Muthoot Finance can be in sweet spot as, the personal loans dry up and, the gold loans start picking up.
Well, CV sector has seen, one of the best strong upcycle, especially for the lenders upfront. We have seen that last 2 years has been pretty high in terms of the growth rate. So the upcycle continues. However, how do you see the net interest margin pressure going ahead? And do you expect pressure on growth due to inflation?
So CV financiers have been on a tear since the last 2 years because the used vehicle prices have gone up significantly. So they're not witnessing any NPAs. I think that that Goldilocks situation continues. They are getting a lot of trips, and there is no NPA. So the CV financials remain in great shape. But see, we have seen 2 good years. So I think the growth will moderate for this sector. From 15% to say 10 to 12%. But this sector still remains like my top pick in the sense that investors can still look at good stories here. Chola and Sundaram are quite overvalued, so to say. But I think Shriram and Mahindra Finance, they still offer good risk reward, reasonable valuation. In fact, MMFS is undergoing a turnaround, which I think as a turnaround picks up, investors can expect good things in this sector even from here.
Well, consumer finance sector has seen strong loan growth, but there is pressure that is building in terms of the net interest margin, and credit cost is also rising in terms of provisions actually increasing quarter on quarter. So your view on some of the lenders like Bajaj Finance and consumer finance sector as a whole?
We have seen 3 years of party, Abhishek. So, RBI naturally was worried, and RBI has punctured the retail lending or, the unsecured lending rally with the regulations that it came out in November. So, I think, this sector, we have seen the intermediate top, that growth will come down. Provisions or NPAs will go up, and even borrowing costs, Abhishek, are going to go up because if you remember, the risk weights have been increased on lending to all sectors except housing, vehicle, and gold. So the borrowing cost will also go up. So I expect a reasonable slowdown in this sector. And see, Bajaj Finance has been the bellwether of this whole unsecured lending and retail lending. So, it is going to be the most impacted ones. They tried very hard in this digital, to improve their digital interface. It has improved a lot, but I still think the macros are against Bajaj Finance. So we'll expect softness in Bajaj Finance for at least 1-2 quarters, or, maybe a little more than 1-2 quarters.
The pain has come in the MFI sector in this quarter. So we are seeing NPAs rise for many lenders. Is it the beginning of NPA cycle in the MFI sector or MFI segment? Your view on the same?
See, RBI, apart from unsecured personal loans and all these areas, RBI has asked MFIs that they are making very high margins, so they should reduce their lending rates. It's not like a guideline, but it is, a coaxing. So, RBI is really worried about the MFI sector also. I think the Goldilocks situation is over. We saw great growth, very little credit cost, and, even operating leverage play out over last 2 years. I think we are at the top. Growth is going to slow down. The borrowing costs are going up, so margins will be under pressure because RBI is asking them to reduce rates on one side. The borrowing costs are going up, and lastly, credit costs. Last year we saw 0.5% credit cost for the whole sector. That's not sustainable. It has to go up. And this quarter we saw it already went up in the December quarter. I think it will go up further in the March quarter, and with every subsequent quarters it will go up. So the Goldilocks situation is over. I think the peak has been made in terms of valuations in MFI. Next 1 year will be the year of consolidation, or reverting to the cyclical ROAs.
So Digant, lastly, I'm asking you, what would be your suggestions for investors who want to or who are invested in the NBFC space?
Yeah, so Abhishek, the way things are going, I think, the entire unsecured lending, be it personal loans or be it microfinance loans, this is a segment where pressure is, so investors can actually stay away or book profits in this sector. And, in such times, it is a secured lending which actually picks up, or, which actually gains flavor. So I think CV finance and gold finance are two secured lending products which I am bullish on. And I think, CV Finance, we discussed that, Mahindra Finance or a Shriram still offers a decent risk reward. Muthoot Finance in the gold finance offers a good risk reward. And then, investors can look at turnaround stories which are very specific, something like a Repco, L&D Finance, and so on, because they are turnaround stories. They don't have much to do with the macros in general. So yeah, that's the summary, Abhishek, of this sector.
Thank you so much for your time, Digant Haria, on this show and explaining to us how the performance of NBFC sector was and the way ahead for the segments in the NBFC space.
Thank you for having me, Abhishek. Thank you.
Hey, thank you for watching this on CNBC TV18. Hope you liked it. For more such interesting news and updates, follow CNBC TV18 on all the social media platforms.